Lever guns are America's cowboy candy. Classic, cool, and dead reliable until they aren't. Today we're counting down the lever actions that drop the ball harder than grandma at a square dance, which is pretty hard. Some tried to reinvent the wheel, others didn't even know what a wheel was. Let's dive in lever by lever and see which ones would be sent out to pasture. So here's this sitch on the Iver Johnson 1886 lever action. You're holding what looks like a big bore beauty chambered in 4570, your chest puffed out like you're about to wrestle a grizzly, but then that lever slaps your hand with all the grace of a raccoon falling out of a trash can. Iver Johnson's 1886 is one of those budget clones that tried to cosplay the Winchester Classic, but forgot that cosplay don't mean function. This thing's got tolerances so wide you could lose your wedding ring in them. Pull the trigger and it feels like dragging a rusty shovel through wet gravel. Ugh. I felt smoother action on a gas station screen door during a windstorm. And the finish, buddy, I've seen better polish on a high school trumpet section. One brush with real-world use and blue and flakes off like old sunburn. Now let's not even start on the wood-to-metal fit. Calling it rough is an insult to tree bark. But hey, it is cheap, right? That's what every poor soul tells himself before heading to the range and realizing their deal was actually just a cleverly disguised disappointment. Kicks like a mule with abandonment issues and rattles like a haunted filing cabinet. You want a rifle that holds up to the heritage of the 4570? This ain't it, Chief. This is the lever gun you hand to your buddy when you don't want him to outshoot you. Alright, time to talk about the gun that tricked a whole generation of nerds into Terminator 2. You saw Arnold flipping this shotgun around and thought, heck yeah, I need one of those. Then Cimarron said, say no more, King, and imported this from Norinco, a company that apparently thinks precision is something you just manifest into existence, I guess. This 1887 clone has one job. Cycle shells. But no, it just wants to do an interpretive dance instead. Jams aren't a possibility, they're part of the manual. Feeding? Yeah, more like feeding attempts. This thing clogs up faster than your aunt's inbox after she accidentally subscribes to 10 essential oil newsletters. And then there's the metalwork. The Parkerized finish is rough, almost chalky, and the edges on this thing could fillet your thumb while you're trying to load it. You'd think a lever-action shotgun would be easier to run, but this sucker fights back like it's got trauma. People say it smooths out after you run 100 shells through it, but let's be real. Most folks ain't got that kind of patience or budget or tolerance for pain. So now you got this unwieldy, awkward thing that wants to jam on every third cycle, and a thing whose only redeeming quality is that it kinda looks cool, but only from far away, like through Instagram filters. Shotgun catfish, if you will. Oh, these GForce lever guns, man, oh boy. Kinda like the Wish.com of tactical lever actions. Look good on the website, real edgy, lots of black furniture and faux tactical energy. But when they showed up, turns out they had the handling of a brick and the personality of expired milk. From the get-go, users were reporting feeding issues, stiff actions, and loading problems. And I'm not talking the usual break-in period that all guns go through. I'm talking straight-up mechanical resistance that makes you wonder if the intern who built it lost a bet. Loading the magazine tube feels like pushing frozen tater tots into a vending machine. The action's super gritty, the internals sound like they're arguing in Morse code, and the sights look like they were glued on by a dude who failed geometry. And don't even think about trying to speed cycle these things unless you want to do some accidental finger surgery. The timing on the action is often out of sync, so misfires and short strokes become your new hobbies. The kind of gun you want to bring to the range to remind yourself of why you own other guns. Tactical? Only if the tactic is disappoint and dip. Affordable? Well, yeah, but so are gas station tacos, and we all know how that turns out. Gen Z would call this gun a walking ick. And frankly, they'd be right. It's got the aesthetics of an edgy YouTube short, but under the hood, it's given flop era. Well, this is the one with a name that suggests a Wild West duel, but ends up feeling like a Hallmark Channel knockoff. Officially, it's the Tombstone POF, but honestly, it'd be better to call it a Tombstone POS. They tried giving it that cowboy meets tactical flair, but when you pull the lever, it's closer to pulling teeth. It starts rough, but can smooth out after a couple hundred rounds. Yeah. Okay, that's like saying your car's engine might run if you ignore the knocking sound long enough. One reviewer said after 400 rounds, the action still felt unpleasant, and the Magazine-fed lever rifle mechanics led to shell flips and FTL errors, a failure to load that happens more often than your cousin's snap streak with his high school crush. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what that means. This gun feels like a toy until it decides to perform, and when it does, well, it's chef's kiss, but only for a moment. This thing's marketed as a tactical powerhouse, but until it's broken in and smoothed out, which may not even happen in your lifetime, more like a novelty gun that guzzles your cash. Now this here is a Winchester 9410, a shotgun that wanted to be a cowboy so bad it borrowed Grandpa's 1894 suit and hoped no one noticed the fit was off. Winchester basically said, let's take our legendary 1894 lever-action rifle and chamber it in 410 shotgun shells. And that sounds pretty cool until you realize it cycles like a Roomba on a gravel driveway. On paper, lever-action shotgun, well, yeehaw. But in practice, yee-nah. Feeding is moody, ejection's unpredictable, and the action tries to jam more often than your nephew's garage band. Folks reported it only lacked certain shell lengths, and even then, it acted temperamental, like a toddler who just learned the word no. You try to get through a box of shells and end up emotionally closer to that lever than your actual family. Sure, it looks great in a wall rack or in a cowboy-themed TikTok, but take it to the range and you'll be wishing you bought anything else. It's got novelty, but not much utility, unless your idea of a fun Saturday is to practice malfunction drills. Now, it wants to be your shotgun sidekick, but it's really just that kid in the group project who shows up late, doesn't do the work, and still wants credit. Bless his heart, but bless it from a distance. Here's the saga. Marlin 336 was once America's reliable woodstock deer camp legend, smooth like a country song. Then, Remington purchased the brand around 2007 and the quality went on a dive faster than meme stocks after Wall Street bets pumped. Reports poured in about barrels misaligned enough to ruin accuracy, finished so poorly metal-scraped wood, and jams became annoyingly frequent. Forums lit up with 336s that stopped short, double-fed, or literally refused to chamber, the kind of QC nightmares that turned star fans into keyboard warriors. This right here was the era when envy for the Marlin name translated into sticker shock on resale value. But bless Ruger for stepping in around 2020 to refreshen the brand's reputation. These years were like wearing cargo shorts to a black tie event. Just plain embarrassing. Now the Long Ranger, this here's a lever gun that thought it could go toe-to-toe with bolt actions and ARs by chambering Creedmoor in 308 and using a detachable magazine. And on paper, that is some god-tier innovation. But early runs bottled chaos. Users reported feeding and extraction nightmares, often missing shells or failures to feed, like coins in a broken arcade machine. This Henry's 3030 can keep locking up the chamber and even broke a firing pin after just a few months. Reports of major issues in manufacturing processes and quality control was the consensus. Meanwhile, diehard lever junkies who got later models swore the thing was buttery smooth and accurate out to 250 to 300 yards. So what do we say? Well, it's like a lottery. Do your luck early, you either get a champ or a paperweight. Henry's reputation for craftsmanship did take a hit, and these early models left folks saying, when is enough over warranty repairs? Now here's a gun that really said, hey, what if we copied the Marlin 1895 but made it cheaper? Which sounds great until you realize they also made it worse. The Rossi Rio Grande was supposed to be a blue-collar meat and potatoes alternative to the beloved Marlin Big Bore Thumper. And yeah, it sort of looks the part if you're squinting and standing behind a bush. But once you start cycling that action, you'll feel every corner that was cut, and I mean cut with dull scissors. The lever is stiffer than your old man's knees after leg day. The stock fit feels like it was done by eyeballs and duct tape, and the overall build quality screams factory seconds. Fitting issues crop up like acne at prom. Don't even ask it to run smoothly when it's hot. This thing gums up like grandma's sink after Thanksgiving. It tries to chamber big boy rounds like 45-7, but it wasn't built with the kind of muscle you need to handle that recoil long term. You shoot a few rounds and suddenly start questioning life decisions like, why did I buy this instead of just getting the Marlin? It's a lever gun that wanted to party with the big dogs but showed up with some off-brand ammo and bad manners like a Chihuahua. Looks decent in photos, sure, but in real life it's more DIY fail compilation than cowboy hero moment. Alright, so the Chiappa 1892 Alaskan takedown looks like it just rolled off the set of a post-apocalyptic spaghetti western directed by a guy who's never touched a gun. It's tactical, it's modern, it's got Cerakote, it's got takedown function, but it's also got problems. Reliability is pretty spotty. Build quality is nothing but inconsistent. The price tag is hilarious. This thing costs more than your first car and probably functions half as well. The marketing pushes it like it's the ultimate outdoorsman's gun, perfect for survivalists, backcountry guides, and dudes who wear flannel year-round. But try to shoot more than a box of ammo through it, and the flaws show up faster than trolls in a Twitch stream. We're talking ejection issues, tight chambers, and some examples won't even cycle properly out of the box. You pay a premium for the look, and you get a firearm that needs therapy and a tune-up. Don't get me wrong, this thing looks amazing. Like, this thing is Instagram bait galore. You post a pic of it next to your boots and a thermos, and suddenly you're getting DMs from dudes named Kyle who say, "Bro, that's sick." But once the flex wears off and you try to run it hard, you'll find out this Alaskan takedown doesn't survive winter, it just flakes apart like a snowman in July. Oh, buddy, if you never shot a Century Arms PW-87, let me paint you a picture. You're holding a knockoff of the legendary 1887 shotgun. That one Arnie spun around in Terminator 2 like it was an extension of his cyborg arm. Well, this one right here, it shoots like it was assembled in the dark with the leftover scrap metal from a lawn chair factory. Everything on it feels wrong. The lever is stiff and crunchy, the trigger is sloppy and vague. The loading gate might as well come with a tetanus warning, because you'll spend more time clearing jams than actually firing. Feeding shells into the tube feels like trying to shove Uno cards in a DVD player. It doesn't eject clean, it doesn't aim naturally, it just kicks like it's personally offended by your presence. Some poor souls tried running drills with it, only for it to lock up mid-cycle like it was trying to protect its own dignity. You pull that trigger and sometimes it just doesn't. And for the love of John Moses Browning, don't even think about rapid fire unless you want to learn about stovepipes, short strokes, and spiritual disappointment. In short, this shotgun has more red flags than your ex's comment history. It's one of these guns you buy once, shoot twice, then use as a movie prop or a paperweight. If the 1887 is the king of lever-action shotguns, the PW-87 is a court jester, and not the funny kind. Oh yes, a Mossberg 464. Now listen, Mossberg makes good stuff. Pump-action shotguns that run forever, MVP rifles that punch above their weight, but when they tried to join the lever-action club, they belly flopped into the shallow end. The early production 464s were rough. Real rough. Like Dad just built this in the garage rough. The lever action felt clunky, like dragging a cylinder block through molasses. Some had a poor barrel crowning, uneven bluing, and stocks that looked like they were carved by someone who got fired halfway through sanding. People reported light primer strikes, failure to feed, and actions that would bind right up when you were feeling lucky. Now, Mossberg tried to give it a tactical facelift later with rails and polymer furniture, but all that did was turn it into a lever-action FUD blaster that looked like it wandered out of a bad sci-fi show. They wanted to appeal to the modern shooter, but what they delivered was a lever-action equivalent of Microsoft Clippy. "Hi, looks like you're trying to shoot. Would you like to jam instead?" Anyways, eventually they cleaned things up in later production, but by then the damage was done. The early models tanked the gun's rep harder than a celebrity apology tweet. If you own one of those early 464s, I tip my hat to you. You're a stronger soul than I am. But that's the list, folks. Lever guns that should have stayed in the idea phase. If you shot one, survived one, or regretted buying one, sound off in the comments below and smash that like button, hit subscribe, and don't buy a gun just 'cause it looks cool in a movie. Buck Tanner out.